Hello everyone, this is John from Vulgar Kitten Studios, and today we're going to be going ahead and continuing on episode 2 of our Introduction to Web Development and PHP MVC series. So what we're going to do today is we're actually going to start working with Composer. Composer is something that's become very popular within the past couple of years. It's basically a dependency manager for PHP. And that's what we're going to be using to build our application. And obviously, we're not going to be building every single part of the app since there is so many other things out there to help us. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull down some libraries from Composer and Sexy itself. If you want to just use the framework, you can actually pull it in with Composer by using the create project functionality, but we'll get into that later. For right now, let's just go ahead and take a look at the website at getcomposer.org. And what we want to do is we want to go ahead and click the download button, and how we're going to install it is this line right here. We're going to install it using Cygwin. So we're going to go ahead and pull up the Cygwin terminal, and I'm just going to go ahead and paste in that line right into my home directory, and it should fire it off here shortly. Yep. There we go. Okay, Composer is successfully installed, so now if we ls in our home directory, we should see this composer.far file. Alright, so what we want to do is we're going to nano on our bash or .bash rc file, and the reason that actually, just so I can show you why we're going to do this, I want to be able to type Composer to use the command, but right now the command is not found, so I actually need ncurses too. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and go into Explorer and go ahead and grab that. So I'm going to go into my downloads and run the setup for Cygwin real quick. And so this way we can use the clear command and clear out our screen, all that good stuff. So I'm just going to go through here real quick and make this happen. Or as quick as I possibly can anyway. Alright, and I'm just going to type in ncurses in here. And it should be under utilities, ncurses, and we'll just click next, next, next kind of thing. Shouldn't take too long. It's a very small package. And almost there. I may have spoke too soon. Alright, so there we go. Now we have it, and I don't want to create a desktop icon. We'll go ahead and finish. And I'll have to close out and then reopen. And we should be able to LH and clear now. Yep, we can. Alright, so in order to use Composer, we have to actually type in composer.far. And why is that not working? PHP composer.far, like this, and then that will allow us to use that. And like I said, I just want to be able to type Composer and be able to get that right out without any kind of issues there. So I'm going to nano on my .bash rc file, and I'm going to come all the way down here, and I'm going to create an alias, and I'm going to create the alias as Composer. That's going to be the name, and I'm going to send that to my home. I think it's John M. Let me just double check the name of that directory. So I need to go under my hard drive and in home, John M. Yep. Alright, so John M. and then composer.far, and that should actually do it. So I'm going to go ahead and exit here, bring it back up, and Composer, and there we go. Alright, so now we actually have that ability. So now we need to cd into our development www sexy folder, and I'm gonna Composer. We can do Composer init, and that will give us all sorts of cool options, but we don't actually need that robust of a system at this point in time. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna open up the our Sublime text here, and I'm going to start requiring in some packages. So what I'll do first of all is I'm actually going to go over to packages.org. I'm going to go to packages.org, and this is where we can actually browse packages that are available through Composer. So first thing that I want to look for is the Laravel Blade engine, and we're going to get the Duncan 3DC version of that because it's actually modified, and we can use using statements in there, which is something that our system is actually going to depend on, because we want to be able to use namespaces within our views. So I'm just going to copy this command right here and just toss that right there, and that will generate a composer.json file for us. So now we actually have that right there, and it will download and install this package for us. So I'm going to give this a second, and I'll be right back. Alright, it's actually doing its thing right now and downloading and installing these packages for me. It took a little bit for it to actually initialize, and I think that's just because of my internet connection. But in any case, this is going pretty quickly. And it's going to download and install not only what we want, but also all of its dependencies as well. And so that's what's so beautiful about Composer, is if a package depends on anything, depends on some other library, then it's going to download that, and we don't have to worry about it. So that is done. So what we're going to get a couple of others. So we also want to get the Illuminate database from Laravel. So I'm just going to type in Illuminate database. And this is the eloquent ORM that you've probably heard of. And if you haven't, then basically this is it's a really popular object relational mapper for working with databases with PDO, which is PHP data objects. It's just a PDO wrapper that makes working with databases incredibly easy, and it's included in the Laravel framework. And like I said, we're going to be borrowing a couple of components from them, just because, like I said, I don't want to write out a database wrapper and everything. I just want to be able to show you the logic to create an MVC. And so that's why we're installing this. And I'm also going to want the pretty page handler. So what this is going to do, this is going to parse out any errors that we actually have in just a more user-friendly kind of way. So that way, if we have any bugs, we can track them down a little bit easier. So I'm going to go ahead and install that as well. And while we're waiting on that to install, I'm going to go ahead and look at our next one. And so that's going to be Php Mailer. And we want to be able to send email through our application, and we're going to use Php Mailer to achieve that, instead of using, just because it's a lot better than using just the native PHP mail function. So that's the reason that we're getting this one. And while that's downloading, we'll go ahead and look up our next one, which is going to be the IRC Maxell random lib library. And this is just so that we can actually create secure hashes and stuff like that. We'll be using this in our hash class. So as soon as this is done, then we'll be able to install random lib and get going. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and install the last one, which hopefully doesn't take too long. And while that's actually installing, I'm actually going to open up Sublime Text, and we can see, well, that's actually in there too. So downloading and installing. All right. We can see that our composer.json file has actually generated some useful stuff for us. So this is going to be the package name that we looked up on packages.org, followed by the version, which you can change these version numbers to suit your needs. Like you can do like any release of 2 on up like that, but we're not going to be messing with that. We're just going to leave it alone as it is because it pretty much works out the box anyway. So this is what we are going to use for our dependencies. And I guess what we could do, well, no, I don't want to actually work with auto loading yet. This video is probably about 10 minutes long at this point, so I'm just going to go ahead and end it here. But that is how we're going to be working with Composer. Now, one thing before I do end the video is I want to explain how it includes all of these. Basically, what we're going to see here is a vendor folder has been generated for us, and within this folder, we actually have all of the different dependencies that are installed. And at the very end of the list, we have this autoload PHP, and this is great. This is actually what we're going to be using to, to load in all of these packages, and we can go ahead and go to our index.php page and include that right now. So that way we don't have to worry about it later. And all we need to do is just require once on .. because we are in the public directory. We want to go out of the public directory into the sec2 directory and then back into the vendor directory. So .. vendor autoload.php. And so that will include everything that we need right off the bat, and we won't have to worry about that anymore. So let's just go ahead and make sure that we don't have any errors. We don't, so we're good to go. And so that does it for this one, and I'll see you in the next video.